My wife shouted, "Stop deluding yourself. I will never choose you over my best friend," after she believed her male best friend's lies and kicked me out of the house. Then I filed for divorce and moved out. 3 days later, she came home with a pale face when she saw the snow had been falling for 6 hours when Emma unlocked her phone and saw the screenshots. I didn't know that yet. I was still driving home from work, my hands numb on the steering wheel, the heater in my old Ford barely working. I thought about picking up takeout. She'd been moody all week. I thought maybe we'd watch a movie. I was an idiot. When I walked through the front door at 11:30 p.m., my jacket still dusted with snow, Emma was already standing in the middle of the living room. Phone in one hand, my suitcase in the other. "Get out." I blinked. "What?" "Don't," she hissed, throwing her phone onto the couch. "I saw everything. You and that bitch, Rachel. Brad sent me proof." My stomach dropped. Brad, of course. Her best friend who had been waiting for years to slide into the space I occupied. I opened my mouth to explain, fake screenshots, cropped timestamps, all of it, but she didn't let me. "Explain?" Her voice cracked into a scream. "You think I'm stupid. The house is in my name now, Jake. Your mom signed it over last month. I checked the deed myself." She hadn't, I knew she hadn't, but the way she said it, with absolute conviction, told me everything I needed to know. She had already chosen him. She had already chosen to believe his lies over my truth. "This is my house," she continued, jabbing a finger at my chest. "And I'm not choosing you over Brad, not now. Not ever." I stood there in the doorway. The wind howled behind me, snow blowing in, stinging my eyes. I looked at my wife, the woman I'd loved for 5 years, the woman I'd given everything to, and I saw a stranger wearing her face. "You really believe him?" I asked quietly. "I believe what I see. Now take your shit and leave." She shoved the suitcase into my chest. I caught it. Then she pulled the door wide open. I didn't beg. I didn't argue. I just stepped out into the blizzard, loaded my bag into the truck bed and drove away without looking back. Behind me, I heard the door slam. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. I glanced down, saw Emma's name, then deleted the message without reading it. She had made her choice. And tomorrow I would make mine. Let me back up. You need to understand who I am, who Emma is, and how we got to that snowy night. My name is Jake Turner. I'm 33 years old, born and raised just outside Columbus, Ohio. My father died in a car accident when I was 19. Black ice on I-71, a semi that didn't stop in time. After that, it was just me and my mom, Margaret. We called her Maggie. Mom worked as a school nurse for 26 years. She wasn't rich, but she was smart with money. When my dad passed, the insurance money, combined with what she'd saved her whole life, was enough to buy a small 3-bedroom house on the outskirts of town. Not fancy, but solid. A place to call home. She put the house in my name when I graduated from Ohio State with my mechanical engineering degree. "It's yours, Jake," she said, handing me the deed. "But promise me one thing." "What's that?" "Don't put anyone else's name on it until you're sure. Wait. Watch how they treat you when you have nothing to offer but yourself. The right person won't need your property to prove your love." I was 26 then. Young, stupid in my own way. I promised her I'd wait. Then I met Emma. She was 28 when we started dating. I was 30. Emma worked as a junior accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown. Blonde, sharp-tongued, beautiful in a way that made you forget to breathe. She'd grown up poor in rural Kentucky. Parents divorced when she was 12. Spent her teenage years sharing a bedroom with 2 younger siblings in a cramped trailer. She'd fought tooth and nail to get her associate's degree, then her CPA certification. She was proud of that. I admired it. But she carried something else too. A quiet fear that the other shoe would drop. That she'd end up back where she started, with nothing. I didn't see it clearly at first. I only saw her smile. The way she laughed at my bad jokes. The way she'd fall asleep on my shoulder watching old movies. We got married in 2020. Small ceremony. Pandemic restrictions meant only 20 guests. My mom cried. Emma's mom didn't come. I told myself that didn't matter. After the wedding, Emma moved into the house. For the first few months, everything felt perfect. She hung new curtains. She painted the spare room a soft blue. She started calling it our home. But then something shifted. It started with small questions. "Have you thought about adding my name to the deed?" she asked one night, curled up on the couch. just so I feel more secure. I told her I'd think about it. A week later, she brought it up again, then again. Each time her tone got a little sharper. "It's not that I don't trust you, Jake," she said, "but what if something happens to you? What if we get divorced? I'd have nothing." "Do you want me to have nothing?" I didn't know how to answer that. I loved her. I wanted her to feel safe. So I went to my mum. Mum was 68 then, retired, living in a small apartment across town. She listened to me without interrupting. When I finished, she poured me a cup of coffee and sat down across the kitchen table. "Jake," she said slowly, "I'm not saying no. I'm saying wait. Wait for how long? Long enough to see who she is when she thinks she already has it. Give her the feeling of security. Tell her you've started the paperwork, but don't actually file the quitclaim deed yet. Not for a year. Maybe 2, I frowned. That feels like lying. Maybe it is, Mom admitted. But marriage isn't just about love, honey. It's about trust. And trust takes time to prove. If she loves you for who you are, not for the house, a year won't matter. If she doesn't, you'll find out before you lose everything your father and I worked for." I wrestled with that for a week. In the end, I decided Mom was right. So I told Emma I'd filed the paperwork. I even showed her a fake copy. A friend at a law office helped me mock up something official-looking. She scanned it, smiled, and put it in her safe. For a while, she was softer, kinder. She stopped asking about the deed, but something else grew in that space. A sense of entitlement. She started talking about her house. "My house," she'd say when her friends came over. "Isn't the yard beautiful? I'm thinking of redoing the kitchen." I let it slide. I told myself it was harmless. She was just proud. Then Brad entered the picture. I'd met Brad a few times. He was Emma's co-worker, also a CPA, 30 years old, the kind of guy who wore expensive cologne and laughed too loud at his own jokes. He'd known Emma since before we got married. She said they were just friends. But friends don't look at your wife the way Brad looked at Emma. Friends don't text at midnight. Friends don't whisper in her ear at parties while you're across the room getting drinks. I told Emma he made me uncomfortable. She rolled her eyes. "You're being paranoid. Brad's been there for me through everything. He's like a brother. I should have seen it coming." Over the next year, Brad fed her little lies. Small ones at first. "Jake didn't text you back. That's weird, I saw him on his phone." Then bigger ones. "I heard he's been working late with that new engineer, Rachel. You should keep an eye on that." Emma ate it up. She started checking my phone. Showing up at my office unannounced, accusing me of things I hadn't done. I tried to calm her down. I tried to reason with her. But every time I did, she ran to Brad, and he poured gasoline on the fire. "You deserve better, Em," he'd say. "The house is in your name now. You don't need him." And she believed him because she thought she already had the deed. She thought she already had the power. She had no idea that the deed was still in my name, that I'd listened to my mother, that I'd been waiting, just like Mom told me to see who Emma really was. That snowy night. I found out. I didn't sleep that night. I drove to a cheap motel on the edge of town, the kind with flickering neon signs and beds that smell like bleach. The heater groaned. I sat on the edge of the mattress, still in my snow-dusted jacket, and stared at the wall. Emma's voice kept playing in my head. "I'm not choosing you over Brad, not now. Not ever. 5 years. 5 years of marriage, of compromise, of biting my tongue when she put Brad first." I thought about all the times she'd cancelled our plans because Brad needed her. All the times she'd taken his side in arguments. All the times I told myself it was nothing, that I was being insecure. I wasn't insecure. I was right. At some point I stopped being angry. The anger burned out, and what was left felt like cold concrete in my chest. I knew what I had to do. I just needed to wait until morning. I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Emma. No voicemails. Then a text. I meant what I said. "Don't come back." I didn't reply. I turned off my phone and lay down fully clothed. Sleep didn't come, but I closed my eyes anyway. The next morning I was at the county recorder's office. When they opened at 8 a.m., I'd brought the original deed, the one with only my name on it. The clerk behind the counter, a tired-looking woman with reading glasses, pulled up the records and confirmed what I already knew. No quitclaim deed had ever been filed. Emma's name wasn't anywhere. "Can I get a certified copy of this?" I asked. She printed it, stamped it, Official. I drove to my mom's apartment next. She opened the door in her bathrobe, coffee mug in hand, and the moment she saw my face, she knew. He did it, didn't she? Mom asked quietly. She believed him. She chose him. Mom didn't say I told you so. She just stepped aside and let me in. I sat at her kitchen table, the same table where she'd told me to wait, and laid out the certified deed. Are you sure about this, Jake? She asked. No, I admitted. But I'm sure I can't live with someone who throws me out in a blizzard because her best friend told her to. Mom nodded slowly. Then go get your house back. I got to the house around 10:30 a.m. Emma's car wasn't in the driveway. She'd probably stayed at Brad's place. The thought made my stomach turn, but I pushed it down. I still had my keys. I let myself in. The living room was a mess. Empty wine glasses on the coffee table. A blanket draped over the couch where someone had slept. 2 coffee mugs in the sink. I didn't want to think about who the second mug belonged to. I sat down on the armchair facing the front door. The certified deed was in my lap. And I waited. At 11:15, I heard a car pull into the driveway. Emma's sedan. She got out slowly, rubbing her eyes. Her hair was a mess. She was wearing yesterday's clothes. She unlocked the front door, pushed it open, and froze. Jake? Her voice cracked. What the hell are you doing here? I didn't stand up. I didn't raise my voice. I just looked at her. You told me to leave last night. I left. Now we need to talk. She recovered her composure quickly, too quickly. Her face hardened into that familiar sneer. There's nothing to talk about. I already told you, the house is mine. Mom signed it over. You have no right. Mom didn't sign anything. She stopped mid-sentence. What? I held up the certified deed. I went to the recorder's office this morning. The deed is still in my name. It never changed. The copy I gave you last year, it was fake. Emma's face went pale. Not white, pale, like someone had drained the blood out of her cheeks all at once. That's not possible, she whispered. Brad lied. I stood up slowly. He's been lying to you for months. Those texts with Rachel, forged. The voice note, paid an actress. The deed, never happened. She shook her head, backing away. No, you're lying. You're trying to scare me. Call the recorder's office yourself. I tossed the certified copy onto the coffee table, the numbers on the top. Ask them whose name is on the deed. Emma's hands trembled as she picked up the paper. She stared at it, then at me. Then back at the paper. I watched her die inside. Not literally, but something in her eyes crumbled. The confidence, the entitlement, the certainty that she held all the cards. It all collapsed in the space of 10 seconds. Jake, her voice was small now. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. You didn't want to know, I said. You wanted to believe Brad. Because believing him gave you permission to treat me like garbage. That's not, you threw me out in a snowstorm, Emma, at midnight. You called me an idiot. You said you'd never choose me over him. And you said it while standing in my house. The house my mother bought with my father's life insurance money. She started crying. Real tears this time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll do anything. Just don't, it's too late. I walked past her to the front door. Then I turned around. You have 3 days to pack your things. After that, I'm changing the locks. And I'm filing for divorce on Monday. Please, Jake, she grabbed my arm. Please, I was wrong. He manipulated me. Let go. She didn't. Her fingernails dug into my sleeve. I looked down at her hand, then back at her face. Let go. She released me like I'd burned her. I stepped out into the cold morning air. The snow had stopped. The sun was actually shining. Thin and weak, but there. Behind me, I heard Emma collapse onto the floor. Heard her sobbing. Heard her call Brad's name into her phone. I didn't look back. I didn't go far. I sat in my truck in the parking lot of a grocery store a quarter-mile from the house. The engine idled. The heater blew warm air on my frozen fingers. I stared through the windshield at nothing. My phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. Then started ringing Emma. I didn't answer. She called 7 times in 10 minutes. Then the call stopped. A minute later, a text came through. Brad won't pick up. I've called him 12 times. He's not answering. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Another text. Please come back. We can fix this. I'll do anything, I typed back. 3 days. Emma, pack your things. Then I turned off my phone, pulled out of the parking lot, and drove to the only place that felt like home. Mom was waiting for me. She had soup on the stove, chicken noodle, the same recipe my father used to love. I sat down at her kitchen table without saying a word. She put a bowl in front of me, then sat across with her own. "You did it?" she asked. I gave her 3 days. Mom nodded slowly. She didn't look triumphant. She looked tired. "And Brad?" "Disappeared. Emma's been calling him. He won't pick up." "Of course he won't." Mom stirred her soup without eating. "Men like that are cowards. They'll start a fire, but they won't stand in the flames." I pushed my bowl away. "I still love her, Mom." "I know, is that stupid?" Mom reached across the table and took my hand. Her fingers were thin, old lady thin, but her grip was steady. "No, Jake, it's not stupid. It's human. You married her because you believed in her. That doesn't turn off like a light switch. What do I do?" "You finish what you started." She squeezed my hand. "And then you let time do its work." I stayed at Mom's place for 2 days. I didn't check my phone. I didn't drive past the house. I just slept, ate her soup, and watched old westerns on her crackling TV. On the 3rd day, I drove back. The house looked the same from the outside. The snow had melted into brown slush. The front door was closed. No lights on. I used my key. The living room was empty. Not messy, empty. The couch was still there. The TV, the coffee table. But Emma's things were gone. Her shoes by the door. Her collection of candles on the mantel. The framed photos of us on the wall. She'd taken them all. I walked through the house slowly. Bedroom. Her side of the closet was bare. Bathroom, her toothbrush, her makeup, her lavender shampoo, all gone. The kitchen. Her coffee mug. The one with the chipped handle she refused to throw away, missing from the hook. On the dining table, she'd left a single piece of paper. I picked it up. It wasn't a note. It was a printed text conversation between Emma and Brad. The timestamps showed the morning after I'd confronted her. Emma. Brad. "Pick up, please. I need to talk to you." Brad. "I can't right now, busy." Emma. "You lied to me. The deed was never signed." "You said my name was on it, Brad. I thought it was." "His mom told me." Emma. "You never talked to his mom." "You made that up." "You made everything up, Brad." "Look, Emma, I'm sorry. I just thought if you knew the truth about him." Emma. "What truth?" "He didn't cheat." "Rachel never happened." Brad. "I did it because I love you. I wanted to give you a reason to leave him." Emma. "You ruined my marriage." Brad. "He ruined it himself by lying about the deed." Emma. "He was testing me." "And I failed. Because I believed you over him." Brad. "I'm not having this conversation." Emma. "You owe me." Brad. "I don't owe you anything." "Goodbye, Emma, that was it." The last message from Brad. He'd ghosted her completely. I folded the paper and put it in my pocket. Then I sat down on the couch, my couch now, and let out a long, slow breath. That night, Emma showed up at Mom's apartment. I know because Mom called me. "She's here, Jake. She's crying. She wants to speak to you. Tell her I'm not there. I already did." "She doesn't believe me." I heard Emma's voice in the background, muffled but desperate. "Please, Maggie, just let me see him for 5 minutes. I need to explain." Mom came back on the line. "What do you want me to do?" "Tell her to send me a letter." "Or an email." "I'm not ready to see her. She says she's staying in a motel. She has nowhere else to go." I closed my eyes. For a moment, just a moment, I imagined opening the door, letting her in, holding her while she cried, telling her while she cried, telling her we could try again. Then I remembered the blizzard, the suitcase shoved into my chest. Her voice. "I'm not choosing you over Brad, not now." "Not ever. Tell her to write," I said. "That's all I can give her right now." I hung up. The divorce papers arrived 2 weeks later. Emma signed them without contest. She didn't ask for the house. She didn't ask for money. She just signed. Her lawyer, a tired-looking woman with gray hair, called mine and said, "She wants it over." "No drama, no fight," I agreed. 30 days later, a judge stamped the papers. I was single again. I didn't celebrate. I didn't cry. I just sat on my front porch, my porch, watched the sun set, and wondered how I'd gotten here. The first month after the divorce was the hardest. Not because I missed Emma. I did, in a hollow, confusing way. But because I had to learn how to live alone again, the house felt too big. The silence felt too loud. I'd come home from work, heat up a frozen dinner and sit in front of the TV without really watching. Mom called every night. "Are you eating?" "Yes, Mom." "Real food, not gas station sandwiches?" I said yes. She didn't believe me. She started showing up with Tupperware containers full of casseroles and meatloaf. I let her. It made her feel useful. It made me feel less alone. I didn't hear from Emma, not a text, not a call, not a letter. She'd disappeared into whatever life she'd cobbled together after the divorce. I told myself that was a good thing. Clean breaks heal faster. I didn't believe that either. 3 months later, I got an email from a mutual friend, Sarah, Emma's old college roommate. "Hey, Jake. I know things ended badly, but Emma's not doing well. She lost her job 2 months ago. She's living in a studio apartment on the south side. She doesn't talk to anyone anymore. I thought you should know." I read the email 3 times. Then I deleted it. I wasn't her rescuer anymore. I wasn't anything to her. But that night I dreamed about the blizzard, about the suitcase hitting my chest, about Emma's face, twisted with rage as she shoved me out the door. I woke up sweating at 3 a.m. and didn't fall back asleep. 6 months passed. I started going to therapy. A small office downtown. A woman named Dr. Harris who asked the right questions and let me cry when I needed to. She told me something that stuck. "You're not grieving the loss of Emma, Jake. You're grieving the loss of the person you thought she was. Those are 2 different things." I thought about that for a long time. A year after the divorce, I met someone. Her name was Olivia. She was 32, a chemical engineer at a plant outside Columbus. We met at a coffee shop. I spilled my drink on her laptop bag, apologized 100 times, and she laughed and said, "It's okay, it's a cheap bag." She was nothing like Emma. Emma was loud. Olivia was quiet. Emma needed constant reassurance. Olivia seemed perfectly fine on her own. Emma talked about what she deserved. Olivia talked about what she earned. We dated for 6 months before I even told her about the house. "I own it outright," I said one night, sitting on my porch. "No mortgage. My mom bought it after my dad died." Olivia nodded. "That's nice. Aren't you going to ask if I'll put your name on the deed?" She looked at me like I'd just asked if she believed in unicorns. "Why would I ask that? It's your house. I have my own apartment. I don't need your name on a piece of paper to know you love me." I almost cried right there. 2 years after the divorce, I ran into Emma. It was a Saturday afternoon in late autumn. I was walking out of a hardware store. New drill bits, the kind of purchases that made me feel like a real adult. The air was crisp. Leaves crunched under my boots. I heard my name before I saw her. "Jake," I turned. Emma was standing 10 feet away, wearing a worn-out coat and holding a grocery bag. Her hair was shorter. Her face was thinner. She looked tired in a way that makeup couldn't hide. "Hey, Emma." She stepped closer, then stopped like she wasn't sure if she was allowed. "You look good." "Thanks." "You too." It wasn't entirely true, but it wasn't entirely false either. She shifted the grocery bag from one hand to the other. "I've wanted to call you 100 times, but I didn't think you'd want to hear from me." "I wouldn't have," I said, "back then. But it's been 2 years, I know." Her voice cracked. "I've been meaning to apologize. Really apologize. Not the kind where I beg you to take me back, just the kind where I admit what I did." I waited. She took a breath. "I was horrible to you, Jake. I treated you like you were disposable. I believed Brad because he told me what I wanted to hear. That I was special, that I deserved more, that I'd been settling. And the whole time you were the one who actually showed up. Every day. For years I didn't say anything. I'm not asking for another chance," she continued quickly. "I know I don't deserve that. I wanted you to know that I know what I lost, what I threw away." She looked down at her grocery bag. Ramen noodles, canned soup, cheap coffee. "I'm working as a waitress now, part-time. It's not what I imagined for myself, but I'm not blaming anyone else anymore. That's something, I guess." "Emma," I said her name softly. "I forgive you." Her head snapped up. Tears welled in her eyes. "You do?" "I had to, for me. Carrying that anger around was like drinking poison every day." I paused. "But forgiving you doesn't mean I want to try again. I'm with someone now. Her name's Olivia. She's good to me." Emma nodded, swallowing hard. "I'm happy for you, really." We stood there for a moment. Two people who used to share a bed, now strangers with a history. Take care of yourself. Emma. You too, Jake. I turned and walked to my truck. I didn't look back. This time it didn't feel like running away. It felt like closing a door, gently, quietly, without slamming. That night I called Mom. I saw Emma today, I said. Are you okay? Yeah, I think I am. Mom was quiet for a moment. Then she said, you know your father used to say something. The best revenge is a life well lived. I'm not trying to get revenge, Mom, I know. That's why it's working. I laughed. It felt good. A month later, I asked Olivia to move in with me. She said yes. We put her name on the lease. Not the deed, just the lease. She didn't ask for anything more. She didn't need to. One night, lying in bed, she turned to me and said, tell me the whole story. About Emma, about the house, about why you waited. So I did. I told her everything. The deed, Mom's advice. The blizzard, Brad, the 3 days. The divorce. When I finished, Olivia kissed my forehead. You're not the same person who went through that, she said. Neither am I, that's the point. I held her close and stared at the ceiling. My father's house, my mother's wisdom. My second chance, I wasn't going to waste it.